My theme today will be allocation. Allocation is one of those things that it's a way of betterment. It's a way for us to get better at many other things. It's a way for us to improve our quality of life. This is not something that is, I don't think it's controversial. The more you know, the more that you learn, the better you are at, the better chances you have at having better outcomes in life. I think, again, that's not something that is too controversial, difficult. uh, is there's a whole lot of a whole lot of knowledge, a body of knowledge that shows that education is one of those better paths out of poverty. Education today is pretty much set up as a set of schools. It starts at elementary school, ends up in high school, and then it moves into different alternatives that goes into different ways as vocational schools, certificates, community colleges, and universities that offer 4 year degrees or all the way up to postdoctorate degrees. That is I think, is a vast array of ways of obtaining education that gives people flexibility on what path they want to follow once they finish high school. Whether they want to be doctors, whether they want to be plumbers, whether they want to be a nail technician, or simply another teacher, just different options for kids to follow. General knowledge, or knowledge in general, gave us the chance to learn about stuff. Many years ago, thousands of years ago, people were finding that certain things work, or they were doing, their own inventions, and things kind of work. Sometimes they just were just random. Something just worked. You just put two things together, and they kind of work, and you see that they work, and you keep using it, and you repeat the same thing, but you're doing repetition without knowledge, without understanding what was behind it. And it took a couple of people to figure it out, to understand exactly how things were working behind the scenes, doing the basic research of understanding why, when I do X and Y, I'm getting this other thing. And once I understand that, then that principle I can apply to something else. And then that starts rolling a ball of knowledge. That is the kind of understanding that happens through simple education. Even though it doesn't look, maybe it wasn't as formalized as we know today, those people started doing what we formally know today. And it took them also thousands of years to understand what's the basic idea of how knowledge is built. Once they started building it, not only were they able to understand the physical world around them, they knew what made fire do fire. They knew how the tides work. They knew what the stars were made of. But they also started learning about what makes people people, what's in their heads, what makes them work, what makes them tick. Those are the kind of things that knowledge, understanding people, understanding society, understanding that betterment, that is a type of betterment that knowledge provides, that education provides. And having that space for knowledge, having that space for growth, giving opportunities to people for that growth will make them better people. It will give them a chance to maybe move a step up in the economical ladder, which everyone wants. But simple understanding of the differences between one person and their neighbor makes for a better society. If I was president, education will be one of those things that I will put up. Um, I will put up in the first places, in those first things to change. The first step will be to make education free and mandatory. No kid needs to pay. No parent needs to pay for the kids to have the basic education that goes from elementary all the way up to high school. So need to. It's a we as a society have a vested interest in making sure that kids, our future adults, our future hope, is able to have an education that will give them the tools necessary to either do something that goes from a extra couple of months in school after high school to spending 15 more years in college until they finally get the degree that they want, and produce amazing inventions and produce amazing knowledge that we can get a benefit from. There's just something that every kid should have the opportunity to have. And the better way to give that opportunity is to make that education free. The other way is to make that education mandatory. Everyone has to be at school. We don't have a choice, because having that choice, letting people for some reason to say, no, my kid's not going to go to school, it robs that kid from whatever benefit, from whatever betterment that they can have in their future. So everyone should be there. Along with being at school, learning at school comes eating. One of those things that I didn't learn until I was older was that kids have to pay for the food that they eat in their school. I didn't have to at any time. My school had free lunch. Later, I learned that it was a poor location, and that kids in other locations, because whatever socioeconomic factors are at play, have to pay for the cafeteria food. And I say cafeteria instead of a lunch, because I also learned that their food didn't look like my food. Uh, so one of those things would be to make lunch free in school, and that they will simply follow the guidelines, the food guidelines that we will have at the, what is the Department of Health? Yeah, whatever the department has to do with food. Uh, but it will be a nutritious lunch that they will have with nutritious breakfast. It will also be a way to also combat poverty. There's poverty around. There's just no, there shouldn't be any problem admitting that that's true. That exists, and there are kids that do go hungry to school. There are kids that is their secure meals at school. So having that food, that secure meal there, not having to think about, wow, I'm hungry, it's not a thing that we need to give to those kids. It will make them happy. It will really work towards giving them a chance to leave poverty behind, to have an opportunity to grow beyond the limitations that life has thrown their way. Because that's sometimes it's just life, you just sometimes have bad luck. The other thing that I will add is I will add a different way of thinking. There's a lot into STEM today, science, technology, engineering, math. There's a lot into it. I would like to offer something else. I would like to offer something that I think was common at some point, vocational schools, kids that learns to do, mechanics, plumbers, woodwork, all of those kind of things that were offered at one time or another in schools. And also offer more free time, more time for kids to be kids, for kids to be around other of their peers, do the play, and understand the social interactions of dealing with other kids, the skills that they will need to learn as they grow up and deal with other people. Those things that happen. Sitting down all day in school, yeah, some kids do it, not all kids do. And kids need to be kids. And a place like a school is an excellent place to have them do that. Have some of that energy spent doing kids' things, and then come back to school, do work, do schoolwork, and continue. That is something that I think we need to look into other countries to bring those models into play here. And then once you finish high school, going into school is something that will also need additional help. There are different grants and different programs to get through school. I will work to continue those systems, to better those systems, to make sure that the loans are not predatory on those kids for those that want loans. But I will also want scholarships and other kind of financial help to get those kids the necessary help to finish those grades. We'll see. I'll get there.